Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. They said that this was a litmus test because we're going to be talking about the budget. So the over-under was 10 people. So we're in pretty good shape here. Thank you very much. And as we start, I did want to mention our Board of Education members who made it here this morning. Board President Mia DiPietro, Scott Levy, Patrick Verma. Really appreciate all the support that you continue to give to the high school. And welcome to our PTSA members as well, and those members of the BHHS who are here, and just interested parents. Really, the partnerships that we have with our parents is really one of the cornerstones of the success that we have here at Byram Hills. And I am really lucky to be joined by Dr. Lamia and Mr. Cyber this morning, as well as Ms. Spirelli. And we have a number of things that we're going to go over. They're going to kick it off with their budget presentation, and then Ms. Pirelli is going to discuss something that we're very excited about here, the first time that we're doing it for our seniors, Adulting 101. And so many of you, like me, when you were in 8th grade, probably had some sort of home economics class where you learned to sew, you learned what a checkbook was. Well, New York State does not believe that that's something that all of our students need to have anymore. But we do, because of our mission, where we need to make sure that our kids are leaving here as productive and responsible citizens and leaders of the 21st century. Well, part of that productive and responsible is being able to know how to tie a tie or change
your hand.
Yeah, exactly. Those little things that that we all might have overlooked teaching our kids while we were trying to prepare them for their next step in their academic journey. So we're very excited to do that, and Ms. Spirelli is going to speak about that. Also want to welcome Melissa Jacobs, another board member who's here. Thank you very much. And again, without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Jen and Kelly. Here you
go. All right, thank you. So the Adulting 101, I can't stress how important that is. I had a high achieving son in his senior year who overnighted something to our own house. All right, so.
From the house?
From the post office to the house. You know, it's.
Return address.
Hold on, we have that. How to use overnight.
Yeah, you have to do that because the person at the post office said to him, to, from, so he put to in the return corner. And from, and those cleats came to us the next day. And I have to say, he lives in his own apartment, and he's gainfully employed and graduated college, and it all worked out, but he definitely would have benefited.
You know, it was camp, right? Camp, they learned how to write.
Yes, did. They had pen pals all over the world, but somehow, you know. All right, so today, Kelly and I are here to present the budget. This is an exciting budget year for us, not only for the budget itself, but also for proposition number 2, which is going to be asking the community for permission for the district to be using money from our capital reserve fund to do a much needed renovation of this library, this central hallway, the lecture hall space, to add a second turf field at the high school, and then within the end of this 3-year period to light our fields and courts. So we are very excited about that. Kelly, I'll come over here if you're going to be doing that. Our budget this year proposed is $103,464,726. That is a 3.75% budget-to-budget increase of $3.7 million. We have all programs that have supported our students, and particularly if you've been here through our K-12 experience, you've seen from the elementary level all the way through to the high school level, the piloting of programs, the new programs that we introduce, whether it is the science pilot at the elementary right now, which is incredibly popular, all the way through to continued work in science research or Global Scholars Program or our entrepreneurship program. So everything from the elementary level all the way up. And we're really proud of that. We also have state and federally mandated programs, but it's not like you get your state or federally mandated portion in Byram Hills. We want to make sure that every student has experiences to bring them to their greatest potential. And all of our athletic programs remain. I have never seen athletics in Byram Hills like I have seen over the past handful of years. Our students, yesterday we had an athletic signing day. There were 9 students who were signed to colleges yesterday. It was absolutely outstanding. When they talked about the schools that they were going to, they said it was as much about the academics as it was about the feel of the school and what they felt that they could contribute to that school, which I thought was pretty amazing for kids to have that level of perception at that age. Pretty great. All extracurricular programs remain. Somebody who worked here years and years ago said that it's just a sin to see students go home at the end of the day when there are so many enriching programs that happen here. From the elementary level, the development, further development of the WELP program with Mandarin and all the different activities kids can do at the elementary level, from the district pulling in resources from the town, chess at the K-2 level. I mean, everything is happening from that level straight up to the high school. I think we have how many clubs and activities?
52
Oh.
maybe right now?
Yeah.
We have a couple that are still in the trial
works,
phase.
right? And transportation services remain. There are some districts who do not have their own, most districts do not have their own transportation. That has been incredibly helpful for us as a district. First of all, you know, in the event anything happens in schools and we need an early release due to weather or something else, it's really helpful to us to have our own buses and to be able to do that as well. So all of this remains with our budget. Kelly, I know, I take over, but it's his job actually.
So, just real quickly, the budget is broken down into 3 categories: program, capital, administrative. Program is, easy way to think of a program is everything instructional based or student facing. Your salary, your benefits, your equipment for your teachers, psychologists, guidance counselors, bus drivers, anything to that nature. That's 72.7%. Next biggest category is capital. That's everything associated with maintaining our buildings. So it's our facilities and maintenance staff, our debt service, our utility costs, anything upkeep of the building.
And that is important because it is the reason why we were able to air condition our buildings and not have to go out for a bond. It's the reason why we replace parts of a roof and we do not have to go out for a bond to do so. Or a generator, any of those things have not been bond producing for the district. Keeping in mind that we do have one existing current bond that was taken out for a library expansion when I was working in Byram Hills in my 20s, and we're still paying over $2 million a year back in that bond. So being able to put money into the capital and upkeeping our buildings saves us from doing what a lot of other districts unfortunately have to do, which is go out for a bond for major repairs and upgrades.
And then the final category, administrative, which is everything supervisory for the district, your principals, APs, your chairs, central office, your legal costs, your auditing costs, and that's 11.9%. Breakdown by object, meaning by expense. Any school district, the largest expense is your salary and benefits of your staff, usually between 75 and 80%, depending on if you own transportation vehicles or not. So that's 78.7% for us. Contractual services at 13.8%. That's pretty much anything we can't do in-house. We need to perform out, our professional development to BOCES, our students to go to BOCES, repairs that we can't make in-house. That's 13.8%. 2.6%, the highest next category, supplies and equipment. Debt service, we have 2 years remaining on our debt payments, as Jen spoke about. That's 2.4%. This is what Jen was speaking about maintenance projects. We put that within our budget. A lot of districts defer maintenance of their buildings for numerous years, and then they have a $25 million bond, a $50 million bond where they have to replace a boiler, replace a roof. So they add it all together. We do it in-house on a yearly basis. So we make those improvements. We repair a section of the roof, we replace a boiler. We do that on a year-to-year basis and keep up with it that way. And that's 1.8%. And finally, vehicles, 0.7%. That's our bus replacement. We have a large amount of buses and we replace them on a 10 to 15 year basis. So as those buses hit their useful life, we replace them in kind, obviously with newer models. Okay, that's the expenditure side. On the revenue side, how it's paid for. Unfortunately, we only receive 4.5% of state aid from the state. Majority of our revenue comes from the local taxpayer, 87.5%. 3.7% of the budget is reserves and fund balance that we use in order to balance that budget. 2.5% in pilot payments, and then 1.8% in other revenue. Other revenue includes our share of county sales tax we get on a yearly basis and interest earnings that we receive based on our funds. So here's the numbers associated with those percentages. A tax levy increase of 3.28%. That's about $2.8 million. Debt payment two payment pilots payments that I spoke about. That's IBM and Ingle Berman are our two remaining pilots. That's about 2.5 million, an 11% increase. Other revenue, which I spoke about, the county sales tax and the interest rates, we did a large increase there just based on the past couple of years in terms of county sales tax we've earned and interest earnings. That's a 55% increase, 675. Small reduction in state aid of 2.5%.
Kelly, you're gonna get cut off here in a little bit.
Right, I'll hustle. And then finally, just an increase in reserve and fund balance of $50,000, and that gets us to that 3.7%. So here's an estimate of the tax rates associated with that 3.2% tax levy increase. Town of North Castle is our largest property. These are all the properties that are Byram Hills related, Newcastle, Bedford, Mount Pleasant. 86% of those properties are North Castle, 13% Mount Pleasant, and 1% between Newcastle and Bedford. So these are projected tax rate increases for next year, 4.98% in North Castle, 1.9% Newcastle, Bedford, a decrease of 2, and then Mount Pleasant, decrease of 4.3.
So you may be asking, how does that happen?
Yes.
Right?
Excellent question.
How does that happen? So you have 4 different towns that are feeding into the school district. Based upon the sale of homes and the assessed values of the homes in that town, which has nothing to do with Byram Hills, but has to do with each town's tax assessor, the assessed values of homes are created, right? So let's say you live in Bedford, which has 0.4% of our students who are coming from Bedford. Let's say in Bedford, or we had this in Mount Pleasant for a couple of years, where the assessed value in Mount Pleasant was so high, and it looked to us like Mount Pleasant was having a lot of high increases, like 5, 3, 5, right? And now look where it is at the minus 0.438. That just means that the assessed values of the homes in Mount Pleasant is now lower than it was in that particular year. So what that does is it shifts the tax levy to the places with the higher assessed values. So right now you're gonna see North Castle, which had, starting, right, I mean, if you look at North Castle at the top, now they're at 4.98. At different levels, that's where Mount Pleasant may have been in their raises and taxes. So it really depends on the assessed value. So if I'm gonna do a little quiz. So which town had the highest assessed value of homes? And you would say it is North Castle, which is great for value of homes. And during budget time, it's a little bit different because you take the share of the budget with the assessed value. So that's how that all ranges, and that has nothing to do with schools, which is crazy. So some would say, wow, that is so great. My school taxes have decreased in Mount Pleasant by 4.38. The school must be doing a really great job. It's like, it really has to do with, yes, the amount that we are levying every year, but also the assessed values of homes in that particular town where you're living. All right, so if you look at this, I don't know if there's any other district that actually would do this, because what they would show is that they've gone to the tax levy every single year. It is like a hidden superintendent's rule that you should stay at the tax levy every single year, because you will never recoup the money that you did not tax for. So right now, for example, since 2012, when the tax levy cap was put into effect, during these years, this is what we did not charge to the community in taxes. The total is close to $4.5 million. So if we had stayed at our permissible amount to tax the community over all of these years, our budget right now would be $4.5 million more than what it currently is. But when we looked at the finances, we said, we don't need to tax that much in order to get done what we need to get done. So we, in other words, left that money on the table. And why is that important? Because now, like 23, 24, we went to the tax levy limit. 24, 25, we are going to the tax levy limit because we need to. And in these years that we did not need to, we tried to build the community trust that we did not tax that amount. So this is just a way to show you responsible finances. All right, our enrollment. You'll see we had a couple of ebbs and flows, and now from 24, 25 on, you are going to see continued enrollment increases. We, for kindergarten, for quite a number of years, we had either 7 or 8 sections. Now we're consistently holding 10 sections of kindergarten. A lot of the little kiddies are coming to Byram, which is great. We still are not at what our maximum was of capacity, so we're still in good stead. There are quite a few projects that are going up in town, an airport campus project, Eagle Ridge over on the IBM land. These are all proposed for the future, so we are anticipating more children coming to Byram. And continues the vision. Every student K-11 will have the opportunities afforded graduating seniors. I keep that there, even though it's not true. We want every graduating, every K-11 student to have more opportunities than graduating seniors. And not more opportunities like we're chasing shiny objects for kids, but more opportunities that we're looking out into the world and what they're going to be experiencing, and we're making sure they're prepared for it, and that they leave here understanding what they like, what they enjoy doing, and what they're passionate about. I've learned from all of the years that like a perfect SAT and ACT score doesn't mean that much if you're not happy with the work that you're doing and feel productive and responsible citizen and leader of the 21st century. Yes, right? That's the name of the game for us. So that is what our goal is. Our program and services are a benchmark for success, and you can find all of our programs on our website under curriculum and instruction and academic departments. So Proposition 2, this is what I was alluding to before. Phase 1, 2, and 3, the Learning Commons, turf field number 2, and field and court lighting. Unlike in expansion projects where we may go out for a bond, we developed a capital reserve a number of years ago, and we went to the community and said, do we have permission to open a capital reserve? And in that capital reserve, we have been putting money expressly for a purpose such as this, which is a renovation of a building. So when you look at the capital reserve, like at one point, Kelly, from interest earned last year, he was able to put $1.2 million in the capital reserve. So we have been putting money in there expressly for this purpose. So now what we have to do is we have to go out to the community and ask the community's permission to use it. It's that kind of fund. And I felt okay with that kind of fund because I feel like the community understands that we're doing what we need and not just what we want, right? So 3 phases to this project. And we're going to be using all of the money from the Capital Reserve Fund and from generous donations from the BHHS that is already spearheading campaign. Thank you. So Coman Hill, BHEF helped us with this library. It's amazing. Wampus Library, amazing. Crittenden, so much fun to be there. Our current conditions, as you know, this is the library. You can go quickly. They've seen it. They're in it. This room is the exception. The lecture hall hasn't been anything done to these since the 60s. When you come for community night, if you can come on May 14th, you will see some renditions of the library from the 60s, from 1965, and it is exactly the same way the library is today. So we are proposing for this Learning Commons. Should we get approval in May, we're going to start demolition right away over the summer. This will be off limits to students during the school year with construction happening out the back. And we anticipate this being finished in March, although I think it's going to be much earlier than March. They have a time frame that they want to finish this project also. So our hope is that the community goes out, allows us to use this capital reserve. We start over the summer with demolition. We finish the project during the school year when the kids are here. And then the following summer, we do a second turf field outside. So that is a lot of work over a short period of time, and it's really a much needed renovation for the high school. So this is basically the area that we are going to be talking about. This is the library. This is where we are right now. We're going to have a kiosk in here for the kids. We're going to redo the lecture hall. We're going to have small spaces here, large spaces here with demountable walls for 2 classrooms that kind of go this way. This is the library central, and then we're going to have my favorite part of it, which is an outdoor space for students. We'll have some beautiful wood fencing out there to keep kids in and animals out, and just keep a nice, safe outdoor environment. You can flip quickly. So these are some of the pictures of the lecture hall. This is the kiosk area, nice central hub for Byram Hills in this Learning Commons. Those are the small classrooms that will be running alongside this wall over here. the main kiosk in the library, and main spaces for kids to congregate. This is some of my favorite stuff right here. Open windows to the outside, really taking in the natural setting, natural light. These are the rooms with the demountable walls, one of which you're in. And my favorite part, the outdoor space. Then we're gonna follow that up in the summer with turf field number 2, which will go next to the current football field. That's our current, that's where the practice field is, which is a mud pit, and it will be a second turf field. And then field and court lighting, estimated completion by September 2027. We will illuminate both turf fields, the baseball and softball fields, as well as our courts. And that is our timeline, and our timeline is coming. May 14th, I encourage you to come out for our community night from 6 to 8 o'clock. You could come anytime during that time. We have many alumni in the Byram Hills School District who will be helping us out that night, and our administrators to lead small groups through a walkthrough to look at the renderings of what this is going to look like, and to give everyone an idea of how necessary it really is for our kids. So, thank you. This is what the proposition will look like. So the first proposition that you will see when you go to vote is whether or not you are going to vote for or against the school budget. The second proposition is going to be whether or not you are going to vote to allow us to use the money we put in the capital reserve for this project. Then there will be a vote for 2 on the back for 2 board seats, and there are 3 people who are going for those 2 board seats. All right, this is the time frame. I've pretty much given you that though. Our estimated costs for the project. And once again, the tax levy increase, so this is the amount that we are going to the town to ask for, a 3.28% increase. The budget to budget increase is 3.75, and the total proposed budget, 103 million. And Kelly is great at answering questions. You know, so literally though, he is. If you have any of that, remember, what were those Something for Dummies books, right? Like, you know, Microsoft for Dummies. They used to have books like that, and
The internet.
the interweb. You can actually call Kelly and say, I absolutely do not understand what my taxes mean. Like, what are they? What have they been? This is what they've been. This is what they are now. Can you please break this down for me? He will absolutely do it with joy. He really only gets like 1 or 2 customers a year.
Every year he wants to know about it, Mount Pleasant assessed value, and I give him all the information.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Right, and that's pretty deep. Like that,
Yeah.
that guy knows what's happening with his
He's a math
values and
teacher.
everything. He's a math teacher, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you can ask a deep question or a not so deep question, and if it's embarrassing for you to ask Kelly, you can ask me.
You can email me too.
Yes. Yeah. And that is it for our budget. Thank you. And thank you to the Board of Education. We have so many, 1, 2, 3, 4 board members here. Just really an active part in helping us to develop that budget, so I appreciate it. Questions?
One question, I've seen many of this presentation as we go. So one thing that just came up to mind today that I haven't seen, we're hitting our budget maximum increase this year, which is all good, but just, was there anything specifically that led to us needing that, or is it just like the increase in cost of everything, or kind of what led?
It's a combination of both. So contractually, we're obligated for, we had a huge increase in health insurance that you can never anticipate what your health insurance is going to be. So there are some drivers that are out of our control. Health insurance, teachers' retirement system, the percentage that we have to put into the teachers' retirement system, the ERS, which is employee retirement system, everybody who's not a teacher, those numbers are things that are out of our control, and right now health insurance is one that is pretty high, although it's not as high as other people in other health insurance networks that we know of. Ours is even lower than that. We also have contractual costs. So budget to budget increases, like what are salary increases for people who are employed in the district, and we have 570 employees or so between the different units. So I think that accounts for most of it, but our other expenses, like our fuel costs and all of that, has significantly risen. And those are things that are out of our control too.
I was just wondering if the new busing is it, because the electric buses, and everything,
Yeah.
is that starting to reflect this year in this next budget?
No.
No,
Or
we
not
can
yet?
still purchase regular buses, so 2027, we have to start purchasing electric buses. So Kelly has this like 5-year plan out of getting us to that point, and has looked at every grant possible. I described it to somebody who was talking to me about it recently and asking about it. I said, it's like a 100-foot hole and we're about 75 feet through it, right? So as far as planning is concerned, but it is a costly venture for us to move forward, and there are not many companies that are even making these electric buses. And we have, every single school district is going to have the same problem where the charge on these buses doesn't permit a day's worth of use for us. So if we're taking one bus and we're doing pickup and drop off in 3 different runs every day to our different schools, that bus needs to charge for a certain number of hours again before it can be used. So things like an early dismissal, things like field trips, like these are all very complicated when it comes to electric buses. So we're in the process of, we're granularly weeding that out.
The other thing to mention about this year, because of some of those costs that Jen mentioned, if you look at a fair number of our peer districts, they're actually going out with budgets over the tax cap. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so then what happens is they need a supermajority vote of the community, otherwise the budget fails.
And there are some times where it may be warranted to go above the tax levy cap, right? Like, you know, sometimes if, we don't have it up right now, but sometimes if you look, our tax levy cap might have been at, one year it was at 1%. So even though we had a 0% budget to budget increase, people's taxes still went up, right? So you can't always rely on that. And sometimes they have to go over the cap. It's not just that they haven't been maintaining their facilities. It could be enrollment increases, program increases, a lot of reasons why people are going over the cap. But I know quite a few districts are already, and they've announced it, you know, Harrison, Rye, Chappaqua.
No, I think it's important just to know that
Yeah.
it's just, you know, your things that were gonna happen. Health insurance, we all know is the same, so
Yeah.
that way, when we do have to go over, we're like, oh,
Yeah,
this is for
yeah,
something.
the understanding, exactly right.
There's been some changes in state aid too from the state.
Yes.
So that's been some problems too. Districts we're working on, that's supposed to change in the future too, so we gotta be ready for that as well.
You can see from that pie chart that the vast majority of the budget is stuff that we have absolutely no control over,
Exactly.
like health insurance increases and contractual stuff.
And Kelly could tell you about everything else where we kind of micromanage that budget, especially me.
You guys do a great job.
All right,
All right, well, thank you very much.
all right, are we gonna teach them how to
Yes.
mail something to the room, to somewhere other than their own home?
Let this stick around.
So
My
as a
son
reminder,
only
that's
knew that I
May
shared that.
21st, 6:30 a.m. to
Yes.
9 p.m. over at HCC is where that budget vote takes place.
And don't forget to come May 14th for our tour. It's kind of like set up like a museum where you'll go and see some old pictures and some new renderings and do a walkthrough of the facility. It's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah,
I'm excited
we have
that-
the 1965, Jen drugged them up somehow, 1965 architecture plans for when the school opened in September of 1966. And there's the little piece that I bring all the alumni back from that time to see, look, it's exactly like you remember it. I take them there in the lecture
Yes.
hall and they say, yeah, they used to have detention in the lecture hall. They remember that. So, but we are changing, and obviously what our kids are going, you know, one of the things about the library renovation is this is going back before COVID. We went out to colleges and universities. Letty Nardone, our librarian, I think traveled to 10 libraries in the area who had either upgraded or were in the process, just to gather information about what we would want. And then we looked at that, and with our library renovation committee, we said, all right, what do our kids need? And then what are the spaces that really can support what they need now and how we can set them up for when they go to college. So this is all a culmination of that, and I really do have to thank Jen for not slamming the phone down every time I called to say, I think we really need to do something with the library.
Yes, and to our PTSA who is endorsing this and is going to come and be active partners with us, and the BHEF, of course, which has already started their fundraising campaigns, and also the Board of Education, which has tirelessly walked through this process with us to get to where we are. So,
Yes, this is great, and great for the community, great for the students in the long run, so.
yep.
And
All right.
reminder-
BHHS is offering
Yes.
childcare.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
offering childcare, so your friends
Drive up.
with young kids that need to make the vote, we will be there. You can leave the kids in the car, we'll watch them, run and vote, come
And
out.
pets, we
So-
told pets
yeah.
too.
Yes, and pets. And like, this may not be the room with a lot of little kids probably, but pass on to your friends that have them, they don't have to worry about that. So do it during nap time in the car.
Great. All right,
All right,
thanks.
thank you very much. All right, so I would want to welcome our assistant principal, Jen Spirelli, to speak about Adulting 101. And we're really excited to bring this day in for our seniors. It's a weird alignment the way that it worked out this year. So every couple of years, the first week of May does not align with, the first day of May does not align with our AP exam starts. So this was one of those years where May 1st is tomorrow, but AP exams don't start until the week after. So we had a little bit of an ability to put something in here so that we could get the seniors ready. We heard a lot of feedback from our alumni and from parents of alumni who said, oh my God, they were so ready for academics that they, it was really well into their sophomore year in college when it really started to catch up to them. So the feedback was that we do a really good job academically for all of our students. Some of the parents were saying, you know what, we really do have that Armand bubble, and it would be really good if we could give them a little dose of life and what it's going to be like to live independently. Whether that's how to just make a grilled cheese sandwich, how to look at milk to see if it's expired, whether it's sewing a button back on when one pops off. What is it when you're going to go to a job interview, right? A lot of those little things that get lost in the mix. So we had the opportunity this year to put something in, and Jen Spirelli and Jenny Croak really did a great job of trying to come up with a lot of the different topics, trying to coordinate with different faculty members who could offer these. We're working with some outside agencies as well. But it's good to remember, this is our first year doing it. We're looking for feedback, and we're looking to make this something that we can do year in and year out. So Jen, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So as Mr. Walsh shared, we had these days to be really flexible and creative with. So because of the school calendar, the placement of the AP exams, and then of course our seniors, our alumni that came back. If you remember, Becky was back in November where they also shared about their experiences in college and such. So it was great feedback that they had, and also through the surveys that our school counselors sent out to the students. That and you know, a lot of the teachers, when we were talking about this, were sharing, and I don't know if any of you are also on Instagram, but they were saying, have you seen that guy on Instagram where he says the funny things that kids say or do or text him?
The text from
The text from the
college.
yeah, I see
Yeah.
some head nods. Yeah. So it's like, why is Thanksgiving always on a Thursday? Or and ask these really great funny.
What's my blood type?
That's right. Yeah, that was that one.
Do you know my zip code?
That's it. So the teachers really we started these conversations early on, and teachers really joined on board and got an opportunity to share some of the things that they're passionate about and experienced about, and also through their own children. So we have the schedule being that because tomorrow, May 1st, is our last day for our senior classes. I do want to add that students that are taking AP exams are continuing to go to their AP classes though. So even through this schedule, they're still doing that. But other senior classes are done as of tomorrow. Thursday is Adulting 101. It's a regular school day for our students coming in. I'm going to show you a little bit about that schedule and what that looks like. And I think now that our students are coming to the end, starting really yesterday, they started asking me some questions and who's teaching this class and what is it gonna look like? Are we gonna learn how to jumpstart a car? Was a question I had in the hallway. I was like, well, do you know black or red? Which one? And they're like, I don't think so. So, yeah, and then Friday is something that's really, I think, memorable and probably maybe a little emotional for our students. Is Friday we're going through a walkthrough through the other 3 buildings. So, thanks to the other administrators in those 3 buildings, and students and staff will come into the hallways and give a little cheer as our seniors parade through the hallways of Wampus and Coleman Hill and HCC. And then
Yeah, we did that. We were only able to
Yeah.
do that one year. We did it in the class of 2019. They were the ones who originally wanted to do it. We did it with them, and I'm telling you, I had goosebumps walking with them through the different buildings just to see the looks on the faces of all of the teachers as they walked through, just kind of the realization of what they had gone through, going from Coleman Hill to Wampus to HCC.
And I think on the flip side too, the students that are there, how exciting is that to see that will be them one day too?
Yeah, the little ones looking up like, who are these big
Yeah.
giants walking through the building?
Right.
So, but then COVID kind of knocked it out,
Yeah.
and we've been able to get it up and running again this year. And I do have to thank Kim Lappel, Dave Mack, and Peggy McInerney for agreeing to this and giving us the time to be able to bring our kids down to walk through. So.
Exactly. Looking forward to that. And then Monday, internships start, and all of our seniors have their internships ready to go, and we're working out their hours. They're required 30 hours per week for their senior internships, with the deductions for if they're still taking any AP classes or if they have a leadership position. So we're really set on these next couple days, and really exciting. So
Jen, I just wanted to again thank the PTSA. After we do the walkthrough, we're going to be coming back. We'll have the assembly here, and then after the assembly, we'll have the senior barbecue. And the PTSA, year in and year out, always supportive, whether it's helping us with burgers or, in the cases of the last few years, having the food trucks down. So this year we have donuts and pizza. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yes, and we're very excited. So thank you to the PTSA for doing that. Just a quick reminder, we're trying to get all the seniors to fill out their early dismissal form. Although they can stay till the end of the day, none of them ever stay till the end of the day. They get their pizza, they get their donut, and then they want to go hang out somewhere cooler. So if you could, parents, please make sure to fill out those early dismissal forms so that we can get them, off campus.
Chris, is anyone going to videotape the walkthroughs?
Yeah.
At least definitely.
Yeah, we'll be able to get some
Yes.
clips
Yeah,
of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Adulting 101, just a little overview for, this is what a schedule may look like for some seniors. We have them obviously in different orders for our different student groups. We have our kind of 30-minute sessions throughout, and we have our longer hour session in the morning, our campus safety in the auditorium for all students together. So we're just going to kind of break it down a little and just share a little bit more about each of the sessions. Our first hour session in the morning is from the PACE Justice for Women's Justice, and they're going to be talking about campus safety. They were recommended to us from some other neighboring districts where they've done presentations in other schools, so it came highly recommended from Ardsley and Chappaqua, and I believe Mount
Pleasantville.
Pleasantville, that was it. Really great information, and it's nice to hear from their lawyers that work here coming to give this presentation to our students. So lots of good information for them to know also about the blue lights and such on campuses, and really hoping to give students that empowerment, especially the Good Samaritan law we also talk about in our prom video for the attestation that the students sign. So all information there in starting our morning off. Ending the day for most of the students is another guest coming in, is from On Guard in Pleasantville. Kat is actually an instructor. She started this company, and she has been trained by from the Israeli military in Krav Maga. So she knows what she's talking about. And we're coming to the upper gym. She'll have small groups of students and teach them some self-defense. And that's one of the 30-minute sessions. So really excited that she's a kind of a guest presenter here for us. We have then our own internal information coming from our teachers. So traveling. We have a lot of teachers that travel and are really great at it and know. We're talking about, if your phone dies, how do you read a subway map, which is great. I'm sure some students didn't even know that there is some, usually an area, especially, in Boston, a student was telling me they're going to, and they're like, no, there's definitely maps down there about how to use the systems. Some great questions also about parking tickets, and we do a flat tire, so this is kind of a mini lesson that's going to happen from one of our teachers here for our students. Another one, I love this one too. Hanging a picture in the dorm room is important to have it be straight. Utility bills, apartment leases. I think we're also going to be adding, how to tie a tie, some dusting and cleaning tips and such for our seniors. Some things, that no mom or dad might be there to help them in the dorm room to kind of stay clean. This one, of course, this one's going to be a great one. And I will give a shout out to Letty Nardone, our librarian. She has helped leading this and really working on networking, interview skills, some tips for resumes, even though I know some students have already started developing them. But really professional dress. I was meeting with the students that are interning at Coleman Hill yesterday. And we were talking about professional dress, especially if you're down in the news with our little ones and such. So they've been really receptive, and I think this is a really great one that's gonna hit.
We always talk about the internship, what a great experience it is for our kids. Any negative feedback that we get, it's really 3 categories. Number 1 is lateness, so when our interns show up late. Number 2 is texting. So being on their phones, texting, or just having it constantly connected to them. And then the biggest one that we get all the time is that they don't shift gears and realize that how they dress here at school is not how that you can dress when you're going into a job environment. So those are the 3 areas, and we're really going to try to hit them in this session.
Yep, absolutely. Another one is great, is Geico My Health Insurance. So we have
if you're a car, it is.
Yeah. Nurse Drucker is really working really hard on this one and doing a lot of information and also trying to personalize it. She's been really thoughtful, trying to personalize it for our students to have them even just go on the computer and find out where their medical center is located to where their campus is for college right now. So just trying to personalize it, and if there's an on-site, if there's a hospital nearby, and just trying to get that information. Is there CVS or Rite Aid? And talking about if you have a prescription, how do you transfer that over? So really just starting to, it's 30 minutes, it's not gonna solve everything, but it really is gonna start our students thinking a little bit about being leaders and young adults on their own. So I think that's a great one too. This one is amazing because students, how many credit cards can I have? How do you, what's a routing number, and how do you write a check? Nobody does that anymore. Venmo, everybody takes Venmo, even at our bake sales here. So how does that work? So this is a great one too. I'm just starting students to be more responsible and aware of interest payments and things like that. I'm sure some of our students are already very knowledgeable of that and excel in math, but we want to make sure that everybody has a nice introduction to those finances. Executive functioning, who couldn't do a little bit more with some good reminders on how to stay organized and plan when you're making your college schedules. If you stack all your classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, what are you going to do on that Tuesday, Thursday? It's not really an off day. And your college professors aren't going to be reminding you or telling you what to write down. So just some great reminders for them as well. And healthy eating. We have the fabulous Miss Healy, Kathleen Healy, our PE teacher and nutritionist, doing a mini lesson here, talking about some healthy choices in the dining hall and such, calories. So that will be really, really helpful as well. And that kind of summarizes our Adulting 101. I just want to review, just share again, we have our self-defense from our guests coming in from On Guard in Pleasantville, and we have from PACE our campus safety. And the day there is all from our professionals here in the school. Yeah.
Something to add to the medical, please, is tell them not to put their social security number on medical forms. Always ask for it because it's like one of the quickest ways to get your identity stolen.
Good one. I'm going to pass that one on to Nurse Drucker. Yes.
And my daughter just asked me today where social was to apply for a summer program. And I'm like, we're not applying for aid. They don't need to know your social. Like,
Great.
they really don't know to keep that very private. So.
That's it. Yeah. Or even do they know that number? At this
Well,
point?
but the
Right.
ones
Yeah.
who do, because
The ones that do.
you end up filling out if you do aid.
Oh, they will.
They'll
Remember
know it.
when you get to college,
They'll
how
know
many
it by heart.
times?
ID,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll learn your social security number by the time
Fast.
you're done with your
But yeah,
freshman
maybe
year.
a whole like protect your financial
self-identity.
identity. Like
It's a good add-on. Thank you. Any other questions about our upcoming
This is awesome.
Adulting 101? No?
this is fantastic.
It'll be fun. And We're excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
that'll
you.
be good.
There you go.
I love the question.
All right, so while Jen's here, just going over the senior events, you know, we have it kicks off with Adulting 101 Thursday, then Friday we have our senior walkthrough and the senior barbecue. Internships kick off on Monday. Then we get into May, award ceremony, 7 p.m. Invitations for those will be going out probably at the end of the first week of May. Those go out through guidance. We have the senior week, which starts off with the senior athletic awards night, and then we follow it up with the senior night and the BHHS movie night. We are very excited. Megan Williams had a baby girl, and she did all of the prom organization, and then handing it off to Kira Hunt, who's going to be taking over while Megan is out on leave. And for that portion. And so that the students are voting to see what movie they want on the turf, and we'll figure out what that's going to be. Then we have the graduation rehearsal the next day, 9:30 a.m. And that day, all of the students come here. We do the walkthrough of rehearsal, what it's going to be like. The PTSA, I have to thank them as well, because they always have a nice snack, treat, something sugary for the kids to come in, and they'll get their caps and gowns at that time. Then we go to the prom, which is the next day, and that ends senior week. But again, we're going to be doing the community reception, which has been really terrific. We invite all members of the community to the campus. We'll have the red carpet up and running, the step and repeat. Just a really fun time for our students, obviously, as well as parents, just to see a lot of these kids that you've known since they were in, preschool or daycare, and you've known them, and now here they are off to the prom. So it's an emotional time for parents. Just want you to know that. Prepare yourselves. And so we're going to have that community reception. Everybody is going to be bused from here to the Glen Island Harbor Club. We'll dance the night away. I always say this because when we used to have it on the boat in New York. Nobody danced, and we moved it to Glen Island Harbor Club, and all of a sudden, first song came on. They didn't leave the floor for the entire night, and you look around, none of the seats were the tables. They weren't even sitting there, and I think it was just because the size of the dance floor on the boat was not big enough. But the entire class, and it's happened every time we've gone down there, they do not leave the dance floor. And then we'll bring them back here at around 11:30 we get back, and then they go off and they either go to bed, probably, right? Or they go off to wherever they're going. And then finally on Thursday, June 20th, we have our graduation. And it's important to note that we will have that rain date on the 21st, which is a Friday. So the way it worked out this year, we usually like to have graduation on Tuesday, but Juneteenth is falling on a Wednesday. So we know that a lot of people will be trying to get away, and so we decided to have it on that Thursday rather than putting it on that Tuesday, so that they could utilize that. So we haven't, knock on wood, had to use a rain date yet, but it will be June 21st. We'll try to get that information out as quickly as possible. Everybody will be able to get 4 seats in the reserve section, and then usually we're able to give up to 4 additional seats in the overflow seating. Now, anybody can come as long as they're willing to just stand in the back or bring their own chairs beyond the seating area. So there's no limit to how many people you can get here. There is a limit to how many seats we'll provide for them. Any questions on that?
Is there like a seat exchange, like I'm not using 2 of my
Yeah.
seats, is there like a?
Yeah, we'll have that
page or
through
whatever?
Lisa Finelli. If you're not using your seats, that's a big one, because people are always asking for more. And sometimes we get there, and it's day of, people are like, oh, we didn't use these. If you could do it and tell us which ones you aren't using, we'll be able to get those out. So we're going to guarantee that you're going to get 4 together. Now the other additional ones, they might be in the back, and they're probably not going to be together up in the front. When we used to do it at purchase, we were able to only guarantee 2 on the bottom section and 3 up top. So we're able to offer a lot more seats, and thanks to Buildings and Grounds and our custodians who do a great job getting it ready. So we'll have 1,250 seats there. Our senior class takes up a portion of those. Our faculty takes up a portion, and whatever's left we'll give out to the community. I just wanted to put this up. This is the AP exam schedule. So as it starts popping up, our seniors who are in AP classes, they come in to take the class until they have the exam. Then they no longer get those hours taken off of their internship, and they have to go to do the internship commitment. So if I'm a senior and the only AP I have is in AP US government, then that first day I would get 2 hours off. I would go in, I would take the exam, but then the rest of the way I would have to have the full commitment of internship.
Do they go to their internship the day of their exam?
A lot of them don't. They just choose to make it up. So we don't have them going to, we want them focused on the exam, so.
If they get extra time, it's like 5 hours.
Yeah, it is. So, and that's all time that will come off. And we work that out with their advisors, whoever their advisors are. We'll have their time logs. Paul Beacon, who is a master at spreadsheets and working on these, has a whole system where they just have to put in what APs they're taking, and then it'll time out what they get. So yeah, we want them focused on their exams on those days. All right, so that's week 1, and then week 2, we can see here AP Spanish, Bio, they're the last ones to go. And then, oh sorry, some of our students are taking the Physics 1, and if they are, we give them credit for that too. All right, and then here is our Regents exam schedule. So we get questions a lot from parents of, whether it's 9th, 10th, or 11th graders. Oh, when can we leave? Or, my 9th grader wants to go to camp. It's their last year, and the camp is expecting them to be there on June 15th. Can they go? So you really have to go off of this. We do have the Algebra 1. It's the first administration of the new Algebra 1 Regents. That is being offered during the school day. So our 9th graders who are taking it will come into school. They will take it during the school day. They can get picked up after. If you would like to pick them up, take them home after the test, that's fine. But they can also stay here and they can go to their other classes. But we really want them focusing on the Regents exam when they're here that day. Our 10th, 11th, graders will be coming in and going through a regular school day on that June 4th date. All right, and then we kick off our regents. Our last day of regularly scheduled classes is June 13th. And then for newer, ninth grade families, we don't ask you to come back into the building unless you're taking an exam or you have to return materials. So starting on June 14th, unless you have an exam, your day is yours. We have the ELA, Earth Science Practical, and the Living Environment regions kicking off on that Friday. Monday, right, you can see where the regions are, those are in blue. The ones on Monday, those are local exams that we offer. All right, so if I am a ninth grader, if I'm a ninth grader who's taking Earth Science, I know that I have to stick around until Thursday, June 20th, because I need to take that exam. After that, I can go off on my teen tour, I can start my job, I can go back to camp, whatever it may be. But if you're in Earth Science up until June 20th, you're really going to have to, we can't move those exams. If, unfortunately, if a student is unable to sit for the exam, they will not be given a grade in that class. They will get an incomplete in that class until they take the Regents exam. So they can take it in August, which I do not recommend because obviously they will forget all of the information that was taught to them. Or they could take it next January or the following June. But it's going to be a graduation requirement for them to take it, so get them here. Same thing with the chemistry regents. If they're in a chemistry regents class as a 10th or 11th grader, it's a requirement of the course. They would have to take it. So really 9th and the science is holding us here until June 20th. So as a former science teacher, they should put those first because those are the hardest to rate, but New York State in their infinite wisdom puts them last for some reason. So. All right, any questions on that? All right, here we have our important dates, upcoming events. We're really excited for the Startup Pitch event, which is coming up May 23rd. Very excited about Almost Maine, which is coming out on the 17th and 18th. Again, we went over the senior events. Teacher Appreciation Day is next Tuesday, and we're really excited about that. Thank you once again to the PTSA for providing the Staff Appreciation Luncheon on May 22nd. What was the theme again this year?
It's a barbecue picnic.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
That's Denise.
Excellent.
I purchased some. So we all have purchased.
All right, and then our next Principal's Coffee is on the 14th of May. So that was all that I had prepared. Does anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Thank you very much. I think Jen owes me $5 because we did get 12 people here. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day and welcome May. Here we go. Holy cow.